In this video, we'll be going over Part 2 of the Critical Evaluation Planner assignment. Part 2 asks you to identify the evidence used in the original article and possible fallacies. So for this assignment, you're going to want to make sure that you review the course calendar carefully and check out all of the resources that have been posted. So for example, evidence and how to evaluate it, fallacies, ethos, pathos, and logos, rhetorical analysis. These resources are going to help you understand the types of evidence and the types of fallacies that you might encounter, as well as the rhetorical appeals or the persuasive appeals that might be used in the argument. You are going to need to understand these terms in order to complete this part of the planner. It's asking you to identify at least 3 pieces of evidence that the author uses to support her claim. Remember that you're using the Ungrading article by Susan Bloom to complete this assignment. So you're going to identify evidence that Bloom uses to support her claim. Make sure that you're identifying types of evidence and using the course vocabulary from the text. That's why we're providing you with some resources in the course to help you understand the different types of evidence so that you can accurately identify them. It's also asking you to evaluate each piece of evidence. In order to be able to accurately evaluate the evidence, you're going to be asking, is it credible? Is it accurate? Is it reliable? Okay. You are also going to be able to identify what persuasive appeal is being used for each piece of evidence. So in order to do this well, you have to be able to understand the material in the course. Again, I'm just reiterating yet again how important it will be in order to understand this material. So on the evidence and how to evaluate it page, there's a whole section about evaluating the evidence and some questions that you should ask and things that you should be thinking about while you're trying to determine whether the evidence is credible, accurate, and reliable. Persuasive appeals are ethos, pathos, and logos, and there's a web page that discusses all 3 of those and how they work, as well as trying to identify whether or not those appeals are manipulative or not. So make sure that you're reading this resource before you try to complete this part of the essay. In Part 2, we're also identifying fallacies and counter evidence. So fallacies are located on the web page in the course titled Fallacies, and there are several logical fallacies. We want you to not necessarily memorize the entire list of fallacies, but after looking over these fallacies and reading through the descriptions, you may be able to identify some fallacies in the original article. So at this point in the planner, you'll be identifying any fallacies that may be there. And then I want you to bring in information from your supplemental source. First, bibliographic information. Tell me what is the source that you're referencing. Then present the counter evidence that your source provides. What are the pieces of evidence in your counter argument to oppose Susan Bloom's main idea? And then you're going to answer these questions. How does this counter evidence impact the author's argument? Does it completely refute her argument, or does it simply provide another perspective? Do you think the counter evidence is valid? Do you think that it makes the original argument more or less effective? So those are some questions that you'll want to answer. And again, in order to do this, you may need to go back to the course calendar, look at the information on counter argument again before you answer this question. Hopefully this will help you to complete Part 2 of the Critical Evaluation Planner. There will be another video coming about Part 3 soon. In the meantime, let me know if you have any questions.